Hi, I'm Christy, and this is Today We Tried, a parenting podcast brought to you by Colugo, where we talk about big moments in parenthood and break them down to make them feel less daunting and more doable. I'm a mom of three and chief parent officer and general counsel at Colugo, and usually I'm here with my husband, Ted, but I am super excited. Today, I am joined by a very special guest. Those of us who have preschool or school-aged kids, something that came with the COVID crisis has been that we've become our kids' teachers, or at least their assistant teachers, as schools have moved online. That's why I'm super excited to be here with Taelor Heinzel, who is here to share insights and tips and tricks with us as we approach being teachers in this moment. Taelor, can you introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Taelor Heinzel. I teach fifth grade reading and social studies in Florida at a school called English Estates Elementary in Seminole County. I've been teaching for 5 years now. I just got awarded Teacher of the Year last year.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thanks. It was so great. So I'm so thankful for my coworkers that nominated me and voted for me. So it's great.
Okay, so thank you so much for being here. I know this will be super valuable to me and our listeners, so we can jump right in. So today's topic is being a teacher during COVID. And so let's just start with, a little bit of background on where we're both coming from here. For me, my big kids are 4 and they were in a Montessori preschool. It actually closed on March 13th. So we were a little bit earlier, I think, in Pennsylvania. And so we're about a month into doing kind of a homeschool. And then we just got word a couple of days ago that their school will be closed through the end of the school year. And they have a Zoom circle time with their teachers every day. And we get kind of activities. But, with the younger kids, I just feel like it's a different, there's not as much anxiety. Like I'm not super concerned about them falling behind or not getting the full lesson plans when they're 4. So for you, when did you get word from your school that this move was going to come?
So actually, my coworkers came to my wedding and told me because I wasn't like checking emails or
Oh
anything.
my
So
gosh.
yeah,
Yeah.
during my reception, they were like, "Guess what? School's gonna be closed." And I was like, "What?" So we actually had spring break the week of March 14th. It started our spring
Okay.
break. So we were off, and they extended our spring break by a week. So they just called it extended break. And then while we were on our honeymoon, they said that was going to be through April 15th. So distance learning, that's what we call it, is going to be happening soon. We're going to get more information. So as I was on my honeymoon, I was kind of preparing some things, got some word from my school district about how they were going to handle some of that stuff. And then when we came back, they canceled through May 1st. And we haven't heard yet if they're going to cancel through the rest of the school year. I don't doubt that they will, but we're kind of taking it like a 2-week basis. So we'll probably hear at the end
Okay.
of this week if they're going to cancel further for the schools in my district and in Florida. I think Florida's pretty much on the same page.
Okay. And are you still you said you're a 5th grade teacher, right?
Yes.
Okay. So did they do like a full curriculum? So for my kids, it's like a couple of suggested activities and a circle time. So how does that, for 5th graders, what kind of day are they looking at now with
Um,
school?
so they pushed out a curriculum for us to use, and we're actually giving a lot of flexibility in what we're allowed to do with the kids or what we can do. They just say maximums 1 hour a day on reading, 1 hour on math, and 30 minutes on science, and that's K through 5. I'm not sure what the
Okay.
middle school and high schools are doing with all of their classes, but that's at most. So some days I have less work, some days I have more work. It just kind of depends. And then I work with a partner teacher because I only teach reading. So she will do stuff for math and science, and I'll do the reading portion of it. So it kind of just depends on the day, but we do have a lot of flexibility. They kind of just give us like the standard or what they want the kids to know, and then we as a team can kind of come up with the activities that we want to use and on which platforms, which is nice for our kids because some kids have more technology than others. So we can kind of gauge it with our kids.
Okay. And so are you having to come up with, though, like a whole new lesson plan for each of these days? Or are you able to pull from what you had
We're kind
already?
of pulling for, well, kind of both. I'm kind of pulling from what I had, and then I'm making it more like tech-based on the computer. So like if I would have a presentation, a PowerPoint, then I kind of screencast it. So I am teaching it with the kids, and then they watch a video of me doing
Mhm.
that. Instead of just like throwing a PowerPoint at them like I would a normal school day, I would go through it with them, each slide. If there's text to read, I'll read it out loud and record myself doing that, because I do have some readers that struggle, and I have some higher ones, so they have that option to kind of follow along with me. And then we do kind of like your circle time. We call them class meetings in 5th grade. So we'll have a class meeting once a week with the whole class, and then we kind of break it up into our house meetings. My partner and I are both Harry Potter themed classrooms, so the
Oh,
kids meet in
fun.
houses. Yeah. So they're little.
What house are you?
I'm Gryffindor, but we call it Valor because Slytherin has like a bad rep. So we call Slytherin Integrity. So we have different names for them, but we kind of follow the same concept.
That's a good rebranding of Slytherin.
Yeah, yeah. Because the kids are like, oh, I'm in the
That's
bad
awesome.
house. I'm like, you're not in the bad house. Slytherin's
Yeah.
so great.
What kind of questions are they asking? What are you picking up on from them?
Well, the major question is when are we going back to school? Because the parents
Right.
want their kids back in school. But other than that, they're really, all my parents have been really supportive. They want to know how they can help their child, keep them motivated. How can they further prepare them for next year? My 5th graders are going to go to middle school. So that's like a
Right.
big jump. They want to make sure
Yeah.
their kids are going to be prepared for that jump. And then they also want to know how they can help me. So like, does my kid need a schedule, or can they contact you whenever, or how can I help you help my child, essentially? So
Awesome. Well, let's get into that then. If those are the questions, let's get some of your answers on that by sharing some specific things that work and don't work, or things you'd recommend doing and not. So let's start with the positives. What on things that work as you're trying to be a teacher here? And the first one you have here is communication. So how can communication work best?
So communication, I feel like, is really key. I mean, it was back when we were actually in school, but I am in constant communication with my parents. I did give out my personal cell phone number. I know not all of the teachers are doing that, but I'm texting them, calling them every day, especially if their child is not submitting something, or I can see that maybe they struggled with something. And really, what's important is having an open communication free of judgments. So if a teacher, if I'm going to call a parent, I'm hoping that they're kind of going to be open to feedback that I might have, but then I'm going to be open to
Mhm.
their feedback also. I have a lot of parents the first week say, this is too much work. Can we scale it back? So I did. And it's been a little more helpful for them, because they do have, some of my families have multiple siblings. So they have a pre-K, they
Right.
have a 3rd grader, they have a 5th grader, a high schooler, and they have one computer. So that child can't get on every day. And we have kids that didn't have devices the first week. So my school and my county was really great. They gave out devices to students, along with meals in case they needed them. So we were trying to, at first trying to get them to get on a computer. And then after that, it kind of calmed down. This today was really great. I had almost all my kids show up to their virtual meeting. I've been in contact with all of my parents so far. I've not really had any issues as far as that's concerned. But if you have concerns as a parent, teachers want you to reach out, like, let me know. I still have like kids that say, oh, well, this didn't work for me last week, so I didn't do it. Like, why didn't you tell me last week? I could have helped you with that. So
Yeah.
you're struggling. Don't be afraid to reach out, because I'm new. Teachers are new at doing this too. So I love the feedback. We want the feedback, what's working for you and kind of what's not. So we're definitely open to that.
Awesome. That is great to hear. The second thing we have here is allowing some student choice. So, how does that work within the curriculum you are putting out there?
So for 5th graders, it's a little easier because they can kind of choose themselves. If you have younger babies at home, you kind of maybe help them with the choice. But in
Yeah.
school, teachers want to give their students choice. It's really important, because then they kind of take ownership of their own learning, and they're like, yeah, I'm going to do this because I get to choose that I'm going to do this today. So for 5th graders, I give them their daily assignments. I don't care what order you do them in. I don't care if you do it at 8 a.m. or at 9 p.m., or I don't care if you do your math or your science or your reading. As long as you're moving through it and kind of getting it done by the end of the day or the end of the week, then that's great. Teachers, I'm trying to be flexible too. I have a lot of kids that can't get on daily, so I will extend deadlines. Deadlines aren't super important as long as they're kind of making an effort to get through it.
Right.
And then the kids can choose which order they're going to do stuff in.
Well, that's good to hear as a parent too, that it isn't, you can let like follow your kids lead a little bit at home. And that can be maybe an upside of this online learning is they might have flexibility you wouldn't have in a normal school day when, subjects are scheduled at a certain time. So leaning into that and letting kids be enthusiastic about, you know, that might help get them more engaged.
Yeah, I listened to your first podcast about your kids. You heard your kids downstairs like playing teacher. I thought that was
Yeah,
super cute. Like if you let
yeah.
your kid kind of like teach me like what your day is like let's move it through it together and then they can help you learn as they're learning also is super impactful. If they can teach you, then they truly know what's going on.
That's awesome. And the third thing we have here is keeping a consistent schedule or a designated workspace so kids know like when they're going to have breaks and when they're going to be working. I think that is super good advice. We're just starting to kind of do that a little bit more. And if I tell my kids, no, we do like one school activity in the morning after breakfast, and they're also one of their activities is like listening to a chapter book be read out loud. Their school sends a different one every day. So knowing when that comes is really has been really helpful for us.
A consistent schedule is super important. So my partner and I have office hours every day at the same time, and we have scheduled
Mhm.
meetings with the kids every Monday and every Tuesday and Thursday. And then at home, I know a lot of my parents are saying, okay, like we're going to wake up. My school day starts at 8:35 typically, so we're going to wake up and be ready to tackle the day at 8:35 because that would be normally what time you're going to be getting up anyway. So you're kind of still getting in that mode. So when you do go back to school, if we do, or in
Right.
August when we go back, then it's not like a shock, like I can't sleep until noon anymore. What's this? So keeping that schedule is super important. And then having a designated space as well. You know, the kids are learning in a classroom. So typical classrooms you have, the kid might have their own desk. They have their own space to do
Mm-hmm.
their learning. They might have, like in many classrooms at my school, we have kind of a safe place for kids to go to. Like I'm feeling frustrated or I don't want to interact with anybody right now. Let me go in the classroom library, or the younger kids have a calm down corner so they can kind of get away from maybe a sibling that's bothering them, or sometimes a parent might be bothering them too,
Right.
or the teacher
Totally
might be
fair. Yeah.
bothering them. So they kind of have like a space like, no, I need to chill. So let me go in my little space and calm down. It's really important in the classroom. So I would assume it kind of crosses over in the at the home as well.
I think we're going to have a calm down corner in our home. We'll have to implement that. Awesome. These are great tips. Let's turn to some things we can all try to avoid, talk about what doesn't work. First thing here would be allowing stress to control your decisions and your actions during this time.
It's really important not to, especially teachers too, as well as parents. This is stressful for everybody. You know, we're not just dealing with working at home, we're dealing with trying not to get sick and making sure that we're keeping ourselves safe and our families safe. So it's definitely important not to let that kind of impact how you're going to allow yourself to have, you know, your day. Your at my school we say control your weather. What can you control and what can you
I
not
love that.
control? So you can control how you're going to react to situations. You might not be able to control the situation. So kind of keeping that in mind as you're, you know, communicating with teachers. Again, this is new for us as well as it's new for you. And why are we here? We're here for kids. Teachers are not in this for money or for glory. We're here for kids. So we want to help your kids and you want to help your kids. And we love that you share your kids with us and we miss them so much. So we want to do what's best for them and what can help them. So when are feeling stressed out, please call us. I want to hear from my parents. I want to know, you know, what's going on so I can help them. I had a few, you know, situations with some parents that they aren't working right now. So it's hard for them to help their child because they're trying to find work. And I need to know that so I can help your student too. So just coming to the table with an open mind so we can kind of work for solutions together.
Number two here, you have getting frustrated quickly, reach out if you need something. And it really seems like that is a key here, just being open and keeping the lines of communication going.
Yeah, for sure. We, in fifth grade, the math is hard. And thankfully, I don't teach the math. But I know some of my parents are like, how do you teach fractions? Like, fractions are so
Yeah.
hard. Like, it's not your job to teach the fractions. You know, you didn't go to school for that, or that's not your trade. So reach out. The teacher wants to help. Like, we will talk to your kid on the phone. We'll video chat with them. We'll send videos to them. Or I had one of my friends at school is a third grade teacher. She taught the parent fractions. So the parents can teach their kid
That's
fractions.
great.
So yeah.
I was trying to my kids had like a subtraction worksheet. And so I was trying to explain subtraction to them. And, we got through it, but I had to say takeaway instead of minus. Like I had to find the word takeaway. And I was like, that's what stuck with them. But I was like, you subtract it. Like it's mine. And there were like blank stares. And I finally was like, you take them away. And then we got it. But we had to work through that together.
Yeah.
So we were all learning together. Okay, so number 3 here, what doesn't work is treating this time as a vacation. Yeah, I can imagine that is maybe fun at first, but gets old quickly for everyone.
Sometimes I go to my web conferences in my sweatpants and I have a nice shirt on, and that's fine because I can't see my bottoms. But this, you want to, same with the schedule. Keep a consistent schedule. You have more flexibility in your schedule, so taking those breaks when you need them is totally important. Screen time and your eyes, I know, is really hard. So making sure you do take breaks, but don't enforce with your child, oh, like it's just for fun, like school's gonna come, be there when we all this is over, so do the schoolwork or don't. The biggest thing that we're taught as educators when we're first starting out, the kids can read your attitude. They know off the bat if you don't like them, if you're not enthusiastic. An enthusiastic teacher teaches enthusiastic students. So if you as a parent are enthusiastic and wanting them to learn, they're going to catch that vibe and kind of roll with that as well. So come with a smile, ready to help them. If you're getting frustrated, they're going to feed off of that as well. So trying to be as positive as possible with them, even when it's hard.
I love that. No, I love that. An enthusiastic teacher has enthusiastic students. I'm going to try to adopt that myself going forward. That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Taelor. This is so helpful and really appreciate it. And we are going to be back with you in just a minute to answer a listener question after this break. Christy here. I want to take a minute to talk to you about Colugo, and specifically our newly updated compact stroller. The compact is a great everyday stroller, especially now when I'm often solo with my 3 kids. It's super easy to fold and unfold, and it takes up no room in my very tiny entryway. My big kids love to scoot back and forth in the alley behind our house in a safe, socially distant way these days, and I'm able to just walk back and forth with our littlest in the compact. If he skipped a nap, I can recline the seat so he can get a little shut-eye. And if he decides he wants to toddle after us, I can easily just throw it over my shoulder. The compact weighs only 16 pounds and it has a carrying strap. So it is perfect for our daily walks. If you want to see it in action, head over to www.hicolugo.com. And now back to the show. Okay, we are back with Taelor now to answer a listener question in our Have You Tried segment. And this week's question is, how can parents best show appreciation for their kids' teachers during this time? So Taelor, what is most meaningful for you right now? And what would you, love to hear from a parent or from a student?
I don't speak for all teachers because we do like gifts. But for me, during this time, it's like just the simple things. One of my parents sent an email to my principal and she VCC'd me on it, and I got to see what she had to say about me and my partner teacher, Lydia, and it made me cry because she was so appreciative. And I was talking about her son, her 2 sons, and how we've been so helpful to her and all of that. So just like simple, kind words. Every time I've talked to a parent, they usually end the conversation or throw in there like, you've been so helpful. Thank you so much. If you truly have appreciation, that's the best way to do it. Just say thank you, or we appreciate everything you've done for our child. That's like the best. That highlights my whole day when a parent reaches out and says that, because we look for validation too. Our administrators are in our classrooms, telling us we're doing a good job. So really, parent is there to let us know if we were doing a good job or maybe we're not doing a not so good job, and we're open to feedback too. I wouldn't turn away my coffee or my chocolates, but simple words are okay. And I gave my address out to my kids, and they've been sending me pictures, so they've been drawing pictures and sending them to me with like little notes. So I've really been liking that too.
That's awesome. You know, that's such a good reminder because I sit with my daughter during her circle time and my husband sits with our son. And my daughter often is just looking like she's blankly staring at what's happening. But then afterward, she'll be so excited about what they were talking about, or she'll turn to me and she'll whisper something in my ear about, whatever's happening. But you wouldn't know it. Like as the teacher, I'm sure the teacher is just getting this like blank expression. And so I should remember to follow up and be like, this woman, she loves it. Or like, Mr. Connor, she loves the songs that you're singing and sings them herself now. So it's really good to have that because I wouldn't have thought about it, that they're not getting that feedback in the same way.
Yeah, for sure. Teachers know their kids. You guys know your kids, and we know your kids. So that blank stare, the teacher's probably like, she does that all the time. It's going to be okay. She knows exactly what's going on. She'll debrief with mom later.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Taelor, this has been so much fun to chat with you and so valuable. I feel very empowered in my own teaching journey now. And so, yeah, thank you so much for being here. Awesome. Thanks. Our music was provided by Sound Planet. Our awesome producer is Aaron McGregor. I'm Christy from Colugo. We'll be back soon to share more about our adventures in parenting. Until then, remember, you got this.